You worked with the NHS as a senior manager for
Yep.
many years. Could you just tell us more about that? What made you get into the NHS? What did you do for the NHS? And just talk us through your journey with the NHS and sort of where you started and how it finished.
Right. I started off as the very first NHS security manager within an acute trust anywhere in the UK back in the 90s when security started becoming very important. So I spent 4 years building up an IT department, improving security of patient data. And then I had an opportunity to join pathology, and I ran one of London's largest pathology departments for 25 years.
Wow. And can you just, what was it that got you into the NHS originally? Because, there's a lot of people out there, they start a career path, and you was with the NHS for many, many years, and we'll talk about your transition. But what was it that made you get into the NHS?
My girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, saw an advert on the notice board and asked me what it was about. So I went to read it and said, I haven't got a clue. I'll phone up and ask.
So you went for an interview and,
Yep.
and that's where it started.
It did, yes.
Oh my goodness. So towards the end of your career within the NHS, how did that look? Were you managing a lot of people in the trust? What was your sort of day-to-day roles?
I was managing a team of 8 people in the pathology IT department. I also spent a lot of time over those years working with 180 GP practices that we supported.
Wow. And working with those 180, that's quite a skill set that you need to manage and work with so many GP practices across the UK. What did that entail? And how did that look?
Parts of my job was effectively a marketing person, marketing pathology. Over the years, we gradually integrated our pathology systems into all the GP practice systems. So there was full electronic communication both ways between pathology and GPs. But it was also advising GPs on better ways of doing things, how to make better use of pathology, answering any questions around pathology. If I couldn't answer their questions, going back and going to someone who could answer it.
Right.
But I'd built up so much experience over those years I could answer.
Wow. So I could imagine you were very highly respected within the NHS.
I was, yes.
You had a key role within the NHS. Then they made this change where they moved you to a whole different department. Just talk us through that change and why you felt it wasn't the best deal for you.
Before I got, my whole department was moved and I had to compete against my boss for one job. I'd been doing the job for 25 years. He had been doing it for 2 years. But he got the job, so they just had to find something else for me to do. They didn't want to make me redundant because of the cost. And they just fitted me into a slot that no one else wanted.
Right. So you got this new role in the NHS. Well paid, overpaid actually for the role itself, but you weren't feeling fulfilled, undervalued. And then how did it come about that you then left the NHS?
I had already been working I'd been in Masters of Influence for 9 months at the time because I wanted to look at how I could build my wellness business I ran on the side. And that gave me the confidence to think, well, if I'm doing a job, even though it was well paid, it wasn't a job that was my passion. It didn't give me the ability to make a difference for patients. And my whole time in the NHS, I was always trying to improve things for patients. So the confidence I'd got from being in Masters of Influence, I decided it was time to just get out. Wow. Make the escape. I then got up to 28 years. So,
wow. So you've been in NHS 28 years, and it's just, that is so inspirational. Turn your passion into profit. You'd been working with me and my business partner Nick then for a number of months in what we call Masters of Influence, which is our 3-day advanced training, and then we have our Masters of Influence Academy. So you sacked the boss.
Yes. Yep.
You went full time into being your own boss, and you had a wellness business on the side at the time, and I know things have now changed.
Yes.
And then since really being part of the Masters of Influence, what's some of the great things that's happened to you and where you're at now?
I realised that my leadership experience could be used to for such good things outside of the NHS. I'd also got 25 years experience working with GPs, so combining my experience of how GPs work and my leadership experience, we realised I could actually build a business helping GPs.
Wow. And there's two sort of main businesses that we've been helping you with right now.
Yes.
So let's explore both of those, because I think they're both absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about the working with GPs. How does that look? How do you work with a GP practice? What's your unique selling points? Why should a GP practice come and work with you as a top consultant in their practice?
Because I've worked with so many different types of GP practice, I've spent thousands of hours sitting in GP practices, helping them improve how they use their systems connected with the hospital. And I've seen how different types of practice actually manage their own internal operations. I've seen some very good practices and some not so good practices. And I've realised that I can take my experience and knowing how different types of practice work and introduce slightly different ways of working to some practices, things they hadn't thought of before. And one of the biggest problems with the clinical staff in GP practices is the amount of admin they do. But they have admin teams, and if they could empower their admin teams to feel more parts of the practice and take on more of the admin role, it would actually give clinicians more clinical time free, so they could see more patients, they could make the patients happier, and they get additional payments for meeting certain additional targets. And if they've got more clinical time, they could actually meet more of those targets and increase their income.
So increase income, increase profits, increase staff retention. What you're talking about is systems, processes, streamlining a business. Because my understanding is that most GP practices up and down the UK, a lot of them are in absolute chaos.
Yes.
GPs, what are their stress levels like?
They're terrible. They're always short of staff. They do so much admin. Lots of GPs have got a huge passion for helping the patients, but they spend so much time doing admin, they can't help the patients as much as they want to.
And that domino of not helping the patients then has this huge knock-on effect up and down the UK. You can't get an appointment because they can't see enough patients because there's not enough time, and the whole thing is just chaotic.
Yes.
And the reality is the GPs or the people that are owning these practices, they're not business owners.
No.
They've got no idea. They might be great at prescribing a prescription or saying to someone, this is what's wrong with you, and helping patients. They should stay in their lane, Andrew. That's what they should do. They shouldn't be trying to run these businesses, because a GP practice is a business. And I think this is incredible what Andrew's done, because he's worked in a sector for 28 years. He's identified so many problems. The NHS basically just shafted him and kicked him out. And you've got to remember, if you're watching this now and you're in a corporate job or you're working for a company, they don't really care about you. They don't. They just want every single blood, sweat and tear from you, and you will be forgotten about in seconds. And this is why Andrew has decided to make that switch, make a difference, and go and do something about it. So if you're tuning into this now, what's your passion? Who can you help? What sector have you been in? And when you identify problems, you create the solution.
Yes.
And you are creating solutions now for GPs,
Yes.
which could be absolutely life-changing. So let's say you go and help 50 GP practices. How's that going to make you feel?
Really happy. It takes me back to my passion of helping the patients. Although I'm not directly helping patients, I'm helping to make changes that improve things for patients.
And that's a really big value of yours, is helping people and helping the patients.
Yes.
And we have crunched some numbers on this. What could this business do revenue-wise in the first 1 or 2 years, Andrew?
Ultimately, I think it could make approximately 1.2 million a year.
1.2 million pounds per year.
Yes.
And then you can build a team. I think that's it's definitely more than you would have been paid as an IT manager for the NHS. And you know, what you say, 1 million or 1.2 million, even if you end up doing half of that, you got your time back.
Yes.
You got your freedom back. You're doing something that's going to make a big, big difference to the world. And if anyone's listening here and you're stuck in the rat race and you know you can make a difference, then maybe you need to make a step. Of course, it's important you do this with me and Nick and other members of the Assets for Life team, which is incredible. So that's one thing that we've been exploring. The second thing, which we've been looking at, and it was great to get more detail on that today. Talk us through your second income stream now.
I'm working on something called Safeguard for Learning, so that we can help small independent coaches. We can ensure that their learners are safeguarded and make sure that the coaches are safeguarded.
Great.
Lots of small coaches haven't thought of having processes and procedures to deal with people making complaints about them. And one complaint about the coach could bankrupt them and end their business. So by having systems and processes in place, it can give them protection, so we can help them develop their systems. We can check that the systems they've got are correct and up to date. And we can provide an independent reporting scheme for their clients, so their clients can feel more empowered to, if they've got a problem, to actually deal with it. And we can support the clients, we can support the coaches, we can support the businesses as a whole.
Wow.
We can carry out audits.
Great. That sounds really, really good. So with these two businesses, what challenges over the last few months have you faced where me and Nick and other people of the team have been able to come in and help you?
I think one of the biggest things is being able to point out or being able to dig and find the pains that people have.
Nice.
And pains that they might not even realise they have because no one's asked them the right questions. And once we can find a pain, we can find the solutions to help them solve them.
And also just to fill our viewers in, because this is important, you've gone through a huge transition and you've been able to do this while suffering with a major heart condition.
Yes.
Just talk us through that. When did that start? What happened and where are you at now?
It's back in 2018. I used to walk 5 miles every evening with my dog. I would swim 20 lengths every weekend. And the beginning of the year, I caught a cold. And within 6 months, I was struggling to walk. Instead of swimming 40 lengths in 1 hour, I struggled to swim 2 lengths in 1 hour.
Wow.
My GP was putting me through all sorts of different tests, trying to identify it. And eventually the GP called an ambulance. I was rushed into hospital. The consultant in ED was amazing. He carried out so many tests, and the next day I was diagnosed as having a heart condition called dilated cardiomyopathy, and it had caused heart failure. So instead of my heart pumping with an output of 55 to 75%. My cardiac output was only 10%.
Wow.
So my lungs had filled up with fluid. I had 4 litres fluid in my lungs, and that was why I was struggling to breathe and do anything.
Whoa. And how did you keep going through that difficult time?
Just being positive about everything. You either give up and say the world's got everything against me and curl up in the corner, or you say this isn't going to stop me, I'm going to carry on. You
work hard, Andrew. You're really positive, a really good member of the Assets for Life community right now. So what are some of the other things that you do being in the community for me and Nick?
I've recently become a mentor in Masters of Influence. I attend every one of the 3-day boot camps. I support all the delegates, inspire them with my story, tell them about everything they can learn. And I do lots of other things with Assets for Life. I've just spent the weekend supporting the 10th birthday party, which was absolutely amazing.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
Yes.
Great, good. And you've been out to Vegas with us?
Yes.
On Dream Team Retreat. You've been to Marbella with us?
Yes.
On Vivid Vision Level 1?
That's right.
You're coming out to Morocco next year, Marbella next year?
Yes.
Yep. You are now becoming that true asset for life. Number one, you've been able to transform and continue to transform your life. Yep. Because you show up, you ask the questions, you take risks, you invest in yourself, you do the work.
Yes.
And now you're about to go on this new mission of yours.
Yep.
of having a huge impact. Are you pleased with the journey that you took with Assets for Life?
Absolutely.
Wow.
I never thought I'd be doing a lot of things I'm doing, and I'm looking forward to the time where, rather than being a delegate, I can be helping teach others.
Well, you are. You're already doing that, to be fair, and I know you want to do more and more of it. You know, because you're a heart. You really care about people, and we're just really pleased to see the growth so far. And now it's about nailing a few things, scaling your business, getting some clients in, turning that passion into profit. But how do you feel your future is? Because you okay, I know you got your pension and all that stuff coming down, but how do you feel now being your own boss, being an entrepreneur, not being told what to do and when to do it? How's it all changed?
It's brilliant. With my condition, there are times I can't do it. Some days I can't do as much, but I've now got the flexibility to just juggle everything around my bad days, because the less bad days I have, the more good days I've got, and the more I can achieve.
Wow.
And not being in that full-time job has made me become so much healthier.
Well, brilliant. Yeah. Every time I see you, just look younger and younger. More positivity, which is amazing. So look, anyone tuning in now, Andrew, maybe they're in a corporate job, maybe they've been in a career for the last 20-25 years. They're tuning into this and they just know, they can kid themselves, but they know, and you know who I'm talking to, in your hearts of hearts, they know that they are on the wrong path rather than the right path, but they're filled with fear and anxiety and maybe negative people around them. What would you like to say, having took a decision to leave the NHS after 28 years and follow your passion? What would you say to anyone tuning in right now?
I wish I'd done it earlier.
Wow. Great. Anything else?
If you've got the chance to follow your passion, and my passion is helping other people, although I helped so many other people in my full-time job, I could have helped more people in a different way by doing this years earlier.
Wow.
I'm now my own boss. I can choose the things I want to do. I can choose the things I'm enthusiastic about. I've got a much better life now, and I can travel more. I can help more people, and I can do things my way.
Wow. So if I said to you today, right here, right now, you can go back to the NHS tomorrow, back running that IT department on your great salary, or you continue on this path of being an entrepreneur, which one you're choosing?
I'm going to continue what I'm doing now.
Get in there, yes. Well done, well done, well done.